Welcome back. We've got kind of a fun build to do today. It's a tricopter, and I kind of was told to build this one a little bit on a dare, kind of to sort of test my chops at building, and we'll see if we can do it. It is a ducted tricopter. Just saying those words out loud. Anyway, this is a Banggood bargain. So it's called a Baby Tricopter 5. So I'm guessing if you go to Banggood or Google and say, show me all the tricopters, you'll come across a couple, and some of them, one of them will probably be this one. There's actually, I'll stop crinkling, give me 1 second. There's actually not a lot of tricopters, which kind of surprised me. I expected more tricopter availability out there, but a lot of them are bigger than 5 inches. So a 5-inch one is a little bit of a rare bird, and so I found this one after the dare and purchased it. It was like, I want to say it was $30 or something close to that. And I started kind of looking at it, and it may not be possible to do a ducted rear, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try and make that happen. And we'll see how it comes together in the end. So this is our basic, and it's it looks like a basic quad with only 3 arms. So it's something like 170 millimeter or something close to that. And then there's this goofy thing, just like, what is this? Why? So in a tricopter, the way it works is you have in the rear, you have a mount on a screw, and the rear blades get turned back and forth by a mounted up servo. So the servo goes, when you want to go right, yaw right, and then left when you want to yaw right, or left, right, whatever. You know what I mean. So that's kind of how it works. At least that's my understanding of it. And we should have lots of fun trying to make it work. So it's a fairly small footprint on this guy, so much so that it tends to get held on with, I think, zip ties rather than, screws back here. And that's kind of what this is doing, I believe, is it's changing where this sits based on, some zip tie orientation. It's a little goofy, I'm not going to lie. We'll figure it out. And if we need to 3D print some stuff, we can totally do that too. So this makes up the basic, the basic unit here. Shit, I don't even know why there's 2 plates here. There's really doesn't need to be 2 plates. Although I suppose something like that, and hell, I don't know why there's 2 plates. 2 different designs. I mean, do the holes line up? The holes line up. So, yeah. I can't tell you why there's 2 plates. Maybe this one goes on the bottom under, maybe there's a PCB or something that mounts up, or it goes underneath. I can't even fathom why you would need this extra piece, because this is 2.5 or 3 mil carbon. It's plenty thick enough. Let's see. 1, 2, 3 solid mils there. 3 mil carbon. So it's plenty thick enough. And this is what, 1.5? Or about 1.5. Something close to that, maybe 2. Same with this. So I don't know why. And there's no instructions. We're winging this completely. So I've seen pictures of what a finished one looks like, and yeah, we'll play it by ear. So the flight controller, the brain of this guy, I decided to go with this little Speedy Bee. And one of the nice things about this, is that I can tune it in the field kind of easily with you know, an app on my phone. So if we're getting oscillations or something else, we can tune those out. So this is going to be the flight controller stack. And rather than do anything super complicated, we're just going to run individual ESCs. So this is my first time running individual ESCs. We're going to run 1, 2, 3 like that, because there's only 3 motors on this guy, which is weird to say the least. And then we're going to be using those ESCs to power these cheap Emax Ecos. These are 2206 2700 kV, and I think I got 3 of the same. I did. Good. So we'll see if this guy can fly on these motors. They don't look bad. Looks like they'll mount up just fine. And we want to make sure we got enough rope to get, yep, that looks good. And we'll get all this mounted up, and then we'll see where we're at. And of course we got our crossfire. The video camera, I'm going to reuse something I have, just because, well, this thing's been out of its box forever. It never actually got used in a quad, because it was too big for the intended purpose. And so we're going to try and reuse this little camera, see if we can't make it work in this frame. And it's like it's bigger than a nano but smaller than a micro. It's kind of a weird one. It's like 16 millimeters wide, which is strange. And I don't think it came with an adapter, although maybe I have one that'll fit it. So we'll explore that. The final piece of the puzzle, I'm going to reuse an AKK VTX. This is the race VTX from AKK, and it's seen a little dirt. We're going to strip it down and dust it off a little bit, and then we're just going to take it flying, because you know, we don't need anything fancy for this. It's just not, it doesn't warrant a fancy application of a VTX. I mean, we're going to fly this thing a couple of times probably, and then it'll sit on a shelf, or I'll give it away to someone who wants it. So maybe that's what I'll do. Hey, giveaway! I can put it in the title card. Yeah, we're going to probably go fly this guy and give it away. Oh, last thing, servos. So it was going to be like 6 weeks to get this thing in the mail. So I went to Pololu, who makes great step-down converters for converting your 6S battery power to 4S voltages for your DJI Air units. So keep that in mind. They have a 2855. That's the number you want to look for if you're looking for a step-down converter, and it does a great job. So I got a bunch of these servos, and these have positional feedback. That's another important thing. And I got this tip from David. I'm gonna butcher his last name, Weenstall. Anyway, he does tricopters and bicopters and all sorts of other stuff, and he suggested that you use a servo with positional feedback. And so we have a couple of servos with positional feedback, and I'm betting that this guy right here is going to be the one we want. Possibly this guy right here. We'll see. One of these two should do it, and those are the numbers. So either a 3436 or 3440. They're 11 by 9 and 11 by 17. It's something, I don't know. Some. We'll figure it out together. Excuse me. Talking too much. Yeah. All right. So I've been covering this for 9 minutes. Time to move on. So these are Stan FPV ducks, and he makes these guys. He 3D prints them, and they're actually pretty stiff and solid. So that's a good thing for this guy. And the way you mount them typically is you bring them in, bring them so that your arm sits on top, and hopefully we can do that here. But that means that I goofed when I started out without putting them on, and because I kind of forgot. And this little top rim portion, I believe, is TPU. Yep, little top rim portion is TPU, and it can pop right off like so. We'll set that aside, and the holes in the bottom sort of let you get a screw down in there quite a ways, but I suspect that we may need some longer screws for this now, maybe a millimeter or two longer than those. So we'll dip into the stash and pull out a couple of slightly longer ones. We should be able to make those guys work, I think. We'll put these back. We'll all, what are those? 6 millimeter long, 6 or 8 millimeter long. All right, let's do it right from the start. Yep. There's one, and there's two, and that'll get us started with this process. And then we'll come in like so. Nope. Is that going to be long enough? So those are flush, and that's not, it's hard to see, but just taking my finger down across here, I don't believe that that's enough thread engagement. So I'm going to bump these up to probably, what are these, 8 mil? These are 8 mil, so I'm going to bump these up to 10 millimeter, and we'll try it again. And if we need to, we can shorten a screw, take it over to the grinder behind me, and get it shortened up. That's only if we absolutely need to. I'm hoping that we don't actually have to do that. Three, four. Now we can still use those 8s, but we want to get these 10s to secure them. We can use the 8s on the two opposite corners. Is this how I had it? No, but I kind of like that better. Yes, that's going to work great. Okay. Be sure not to have any screws stuck to your windings. Yeah, it's a little fiddly, not gonna lie, but I think I've got if I use the right size driver. We can at least get one started, and then the other one should be fairly easy to line up, he says confidently. Something like that. And just looking down through there, you can see that I come close to those windings, but I'm not actually hitting them. I'm probably doing this in the wrong order too, so just bear with me if you will, and we'll try and get this thing to do what we want, which is be the ducted tricopter everyone deserves. Weird. Must have just had that one sunk in there especially deep. Alright. And put that back in my drawer. More stickers, which I hate. So many stickers. Okay. Now, we need to figure out where our flight controller is going to go and how we're going to mount it up. And we need to make sure that we leave enough room for our ESCs and can solder to them without too much trouble. So our ESCs are these little Race Day Quad ESC 32s. They're BL Heli 32 D-Shot 1200 30 amp. And I figure 30 amp would be way more than we'd ever need for this application, because it's not really, I mean, if we do it up like that, that leaves a very short wire there, short wires there. Yeah, I think that's going to work. And we've got our iron already warmed up. We're at 400 degrees Celsius, which is important. You want to keep your temperatures high. People go, oh yeah, I don't want to lift a pad. You want to use less heat, not more. And that's actually not a true statement, because of the thermodynamics of this operation. That plastic underneath is going to melt at about 350 degrees. If you keep your iron at about 350 degrees, then you're going to have an issue, right? And what you want to do is you want to get that pad hot, but the underlying substrate not as hot. So it's all about how much time you spend. All right, so getting on down on it, and then feed wire onto it and come off. Right, and it should make a nice little pad, nice and clean. So, and if you want it, you can use flux. I may do that on some of these if the pads don't look good. But right now, everything's looking pretty good. This is PWM signal, and then this is telemetry, and both of those look pretty darn good. And we'll just move right on to the next one. Slide this guy in, and we'll keep this guy close by. And hopefully you can see this. It's in shot, or it should be. Come down here, get a little on it, touch the pad, feed your wire down onto it, and let up. Touch the pad, feed your wire down onto it, let up. Touch the pad, feed your wire down onto it, let up. Touch the pad, feed the wire down onto it, let up. There's two, mostly done. And our third. So clean off your tip. Touch just a little bit. Touch the pad, down onto it, off. Touch the pad, down onto it, and off. And I'm just looking to see about how much of the pad I've covered by, how much I've flowed over the pad. Because that's really the deciding factor, is how much we're flowing over this pad. And now we'll flip them around. Hopefully not burn myself in the process. There we go. Clean off the tip. And we'll do it all over again for this other side. So come on down to the pad. Touch it and come off. Down on the pad, touch it, come off. Down on the pad, touch it, come off. There we go. Cheers. Coffee. And I hate helping hands, I really do. the best helping hands I've ever found are just sticks with alligator clips on top. Best ones. I've tried using the usual helping hands before, and do not like them. They just don't ever seem to do what I want. They never seem to hold it the way I'm hoping. Alright, there's that one. And so speaking of thermal mass, anytime you've got a wire this big, you really want to get a lot of solder on your tip first. And then you kind of want to just go real slow, just let it sit there. Okay, and then finally, that ought to do it. So that looks pretty good to me. Alright. You don't want to melt your XT60 connector. Alright, and get onto our positive lead. And this guy's got tons of little holes in it. Okay. You just want to make sure there's a good amount on that pad. And then now our negative one. Negative one's a little harder because there's so much more thermal mass there. Clean this guy real good. Get it nice and hot. And we're going to come in and get down on that and just work it back and forth as best we can. And you should see it all flow. And then lift up. That ought to do it. Alright. Same thing with this one. Okay, get it. There's a hair on there. Good God. Ugh. My cat. No doubt off my shirt somewhere. I say my cat. I have two cats, but my wife and I consider one of them mine and one of them hers. Sort of. Alright. There's number 2. Okay. Keep going on these. We've got our negative pad here for our ESCs. Our positive pad here for the ESC. Positive. Negative here. Positive. Okay. Now, we also need let's see, we've got S4, R4, S4, S1, S3. Okay, so we've got signal and telemetry, and signal, and positive here. Negative here. And then we've got signal and telemetry. Good. Ground, 5 volt, T3 and R3. Let's use those 4 pads for our crossfire. And then we want VN is going to be video in, and VO is going to be video out, I think. So that's going to be camera. And then we're going to have a 5 volt and a ground. Yep. And another ground. And then we want a video out. which is this last one. Alright, so we've got our camera, which is video in, 5 volt and ground. Right, because this guy is rated for 5 to 36 volts. Good. And the AKK is 5 to 5 volts in. Yep. So we've got 2 5 volts, 2 grounds, a video in, and a video out. And then we have our T3 and R3. Looks very good. Yep. Alright, now let's get our rear situation figured out. So we're also going to need to drive a servo off this guy. So I think now is the time to figure out how that's all going to work. We'll come up through the bottom here into our component. Okay. Right. There's that guy. Yes, okay. And we need to tighten that down before we do much more, but we should probably get our next duct on. And that guy is going to sit on top. And we're going to try to mount this guy on top, because this is a good place to stop, take a break, and when we come back, I should have that guy notched out. Thanks for watching.